Hello friends, today I'm going to show you some TypeScript special types and how you can use them. So we have already gone through the general types of TypeScript, and this one is some more like an additional special types in TypeScript. Okay. So before we get into action, let's have a brief overview of what all things we are going to cover. TypeScript special types. So TypeScript has some special types that may not refer to any specific type of data. The first one is type any. So any is a type that disables type checking and effectively allows all types to be used. The example below does not use any and it will throw an error. So when you are looking at this example, it says that we have declared a variable with let and we have assigned a boolean type true, and then later on we are trying to change the value to string, and then we are doing a math.round of that value. So this is going to definitely throw an error because we have specified it as a boolean and then we are trying to convert it to a string and then we are trying to do a math function on it. So definitely this is going to throw an error. So setting any to the special type disables any type checking. Okay, how is that? Well, with any, we will say that let the variable is of type any, and then we assign it a boolean, and then we assign it a string, and then we do a round value to it. Okay, so this one will not throw an error. So any can be a useful way to get past errors since it disables type checking, but TypeScript will not be able to provide type safety and tools which rely on type data such as auto completion, and it will not work. Remember, it should be avoided at any cost. Moving ahead. Unknown data type. So unknown is similar but safer alternative to any. How is that? TypeScript will prevent unknown types from being used as shown in the below example. So let variable and then we assign the data type as unknown equals to 1. We assign it an integer value and then we assign it a string, and then we are doing a type safety a function, that is action, that is when that variable is equal to within curly braces we assign it a method like a function method 2, and then within that we're trying to print that this is a text, and then as converting it to the same method type, then we assign it the return type as void. So how can we avoid the error for the code commented out below when we don't know the type? Now that when we are trying to print the method 2 or we are trying to call the method 2, this one would throw an error. How are we going to avoid that? Well, in that case, we will have to do an if-else condition, and within the condition, we will type the type of that variable, triple equals to object and not equals to null. Then it will try to convert that variable as of that function type and assign it as a declare it as a function dot that function name. Okay. Although we have to cast multiple times, we can do a check in the if condition to secure our type and have a safer type casting. Unknown is best used when you don't know the type of data being typed. To add a type later, you will need to cast it, and casting is when we use the as keyword to say property or variable is of the casted type. Now, moving ahead, we will see that there is a type never. So, what is never effectively works? Never effectively throws an error whenever it is defined. So, let a variable never equals to true. So, we assigned a boolean value, and then what happens is it says that boolean is not assignable to the type never. So, never is normally not used, especially by itself. It's primarily used in advanced generics. So, it's mostly used in case of generics. And now we have another one that is undefined and null. Undefined and null are types that refer to the JavaScript primitives, undefined and null respectively. So what we assign the type undefined to a value y when we specifically want to print that as an undefined value. And similarly, we will also use the null to a variable when we want to assign a null value to it. Let's see them in action. Now here we have some programs previously created, so just to save you some time, we will begin with the without anything. How does that work? So I just created an HTML and I should be linking it to the TS file to the JavaScript that is developed. But I don't think we will be using that. We were simply studying the type of the value, the errors, and the yeah faults. So what happens is without using an any, we declared a variable as boolean and then we assigned it a string, and then we did a round function. So this is throwing an error like string is not assignable to boolean, and the second one is argument of type boolean is not assignable to a parameter type number. Okay, so this is the error without any. Now moving ahead, we will see the same thing in case of with any. Okay, so in this case with any, what we did was we declared the variable as any and we assigned a boolean, then we assigned a string, then we did a math function. But here it's not throwing an error. Why? Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so here it's not throwing an error. In the previous one it threw an error because it wasn't assigned what type of value was that. But in the any, we already declared that this can be an any variable, so it is taking up any type of value in it. Now after any, we will move ahead to the unknown type. Okay, so what happened is we declared a variable as unknown and then we assigned a numeric value to it. Then we assigned a string value to it. Then we considered it as a method. Okay, so a method, and we are returning some string here. So and later on we are declaring the method as return type as void. But when we try to print that method or call that method, it will throw an error that the object is of type unknown. So it's unknown. How will it work on an unknown data type? So to avoid that, what we do is we do a typecasting. In this case of typecasting, what we do is we do an if-else condition, and we convert that to a type of object and not equals to null. If it has something, then we convert it to a data type of function dot the function name. So the same method, we do multiple typecastings. Although we have to cast multiple times, we can do a check in the if to secure our type and to have a safer typecasting. So that's what we do in case of unknown type. Now moving ahead, we will go on to the next one, which is never. So this never is already assigned a never type, and we are assigning it a value of boolean, and it says that the type of boolean is not assignable to a type never. So you cannot assign a boolean value to a never. Let's try to see this with a numeric value. Will that throw an error? Yes, this also throws an error. Now if I do a typescript, this is never.ts. Yes, it still throws an error. Okay, so what this one will it's rarely used especially by itself. Its primary use is in case of advanced generics, so we will cover this thing in later videos. So what we do is normally in this case of never, it will not work as um, a typecasting, like a type safe value, assignable value. So we shouldn't be using that never in these cases. So this thing is the wrong thing. Now we will move ahead to the next one, which is undefined and null. So undefined, unknown, we have, did we cover this? Yeah, undefined and null. So what happened is we defined a value as undefined and then we put it as undefined. Now if we're trying to do a true false in it, it's throwing an error. You can only assign an undefined value to a type of undefined variable. If you try to do it with anything else, it will give you an error. Let's call it back. And in case of null, let's say I will assign some value to a type of null. How is it possible? We previously declared it as a null value and then we are trying to convert it to a numeric. How is that going to work? It will not work. So in this case, it's only defined as null. Okay. So this is how you are declaring some value and then you can use it later on. So if you want to reassign some values to it, you can use this any type. The any type works with any kind of value. And unknown also, it's you can convert that with typecasting. Previously the value was, the data type was unknown, but then later you try to do it with a conversion, a typecasting, and then it worked. Okay, so these are the things which we learned today. um, Never is never. Okay, let me try to do a never here. No, it doesn't work. Okay, so it's highly unused thing which is never, but TypeScript has it. All right, guys, so that was all about this video. I hope you understood this few special types of TypeScript: any, and then unknown, undefined, never, and null. Okay, so we will have similar videos coming in next sessions. So until then, stay tuned, stay connected, and happy coding. Thank you.